Hi, this is Connie Galley with the next edition of Shelter Tales. We are here to promote adoptions, disseminate information, and hopefully to increase awareness for funding and volunteerism at your local nonprofit shelter. With me today is John Thomas from the Protectors of Animals in East Hartford, and he brought with him Snowball.
Right.
Snowball. John was with us a couple of months ago, and you bought Rocket. How's Rocket doing? Did he ever get placed?
Rocket did get adopted. Yeah. He's a great little. He's happy in his new home.
Is he?
Yeah.
So, that's
absolutely.
good. I talked to everybody about Rocket. That little tiny face, was looking very hopeful.
He was
we had him
totally lovable. He was a great dog.
He was. So tell us a little bit about Snowball. You indicated that he's about 10 years old, and it's not usual to find animals in shelters that old unless their owners passed away or gone into a nursing home, because by then they're usually very bonded.
Yeah, well, as you know from our previous discussion, we're a no-kill animal shelter. We're doing a bunch of different things out there in the community, including trap, neuter, and return. So in one of our forays to a feral colony to do a trap, neuter, and return operation, we picked up Snowball. He was really friendly and was just hanging out in this colony, so we brought him back. And so that's basically his story. He was hanging out in a colony with some feral cats, but he was just so friendly we couldn't put him back with the colony.
Do you think he was feral initially, or
no. A cat like this who is just so friendly is not feral.
He's been with somebody, so maybe he ran by accident, escaped, got lost, ran away.
Who knows the circumstances of how he got there? But he ended up there, and now he's with us. And he's just the most lovable cat imaginable, and he's in great shape, and he's got this really great look. I mean, we'll take him out and take a look at him in a little while, but he's got this great look. I almost think of him as having some part of Siamese or Persian sort of. Yeah,
he's beautiful, and he's in such good shape for 10, especially if he was hanging out outside.
He's in great shape.
He's in great shape. So, I always try to tell people, because of course kittens go first. And as a matter of fact, the shelter I volunteer for actually they're taking 14 kittens from a shelter that closed down in the shoreline area.
Right. Yes, I
and
read
the
about
volunteers took them all into their house, so we are taking the kittens. But the kittens go so fast that people see them.
Right. They're better than people.
They're better than people. They're kinder than people sometimes, and they do exactly what they're put here to do, nothing more or less. But that older animals will languish until all the kittens are gone. Yeah. Now I'm happy to say we've adopted out a couple of older ones in the past 2 months, but until kitten season's over, we have a hard time. How long has he been with you?
Well, he's been with us for a really long time.
Really?
And probably about 8 months, 8 or 9 months.
Okay.
So that's a long time for a cat of what I consider to be his quality.
Right.
He's just so friendly and so loving, and he just wants to hang out. He's not like we have some other cats who've been around for a while, but they're a little.
But there's the reason
they're a little
they
twitchy,
may be around, twitchy, or don't want your hand in the cage.
Right, exactly.
He's much friendlier than he sounds now, because he came out of the cage and gave me kisses. But he's a very exploratory boy, so we had to keep him in the cage. But Daddy's hearing you, and he's getting mad.
New environment, new environment.
But he was a sweetheart. Came right out of the cage, nose to nose with me, and gave me kisses. So if anybody out there would consider a 10-year-old cat who's in great shape and super affectionate, I think they should call you to ask for Snowball, because he's a doll baby. All of the animals on the show are up for adoption, by the way. So how many cats do you usually, I know you do dogs and cats.
Right.
So how many cats do you usually move? Is it easier to move dogs versus a cat? Is it easier because of the general amount of cats in the population?
Connie, you asked me questions that you would think are simple to answer, but it's economies of scale, right? So is it easier to move cats than dogs? We have more cats than dogs. We have about 8 times as many cats as dogs. So consequently, we move about 8 times as many cats. In 2013, we adopted, I think, 81 dogs, and we adopted 654 cats.
Okay.
And in our shelter, we have space for 60 cats, but we're really at capacity at about 45 or 50. And so right now, we have a lot of cats right now. It's been a slow season for whatever reason. And you're right, the kittens do go fast.
And I think it's when those kitten season's over, then people come in and start.
Yeah.
We always, and I know I've said this before on the show, people will come into a shelter and go, what's their personality like? Well, they're a kitten, I don't know, but that guy, we know, that kind of. So if you're coming to look for a cat that has specific qualities that you're looking for, calm or playful, I remember, you want an older cat. I remember a cat who was a pip in one of the shelters I volunteered in. And we were trying to get a cat out of the cage because she was going to her to home. Now, somebody adopted her going home. But she was very cautious and shy and was up against the cage and yelling a lot. Yeah. And this cat came charging from wherever, grabbed the back of my calf and bit and clawed, and they had to get him off with a little baton and a spray bottle of water. And he had been returned twice because he was so frisky and he was too nosy for his own good.
Right.
Well, about 6 months later, he was adopted by a family. We warned them that this is a real frisky cat. And he said, oh, I have 9 kids. My father likes frisky. And we get a picture of this cat sitting on the end table in a Christmas sweater. It was hilarious.
Absolutely.
Because he's like, I give up. You know what I mean? So he was an older cat. Yeah. They worked with him. Yeah. They got him. I can't get a sweater on any of my cats.
Yeah, right. No kidding.
This guy was a pip, and he's like, "This is so embarrassing. I'm wearing a Christmas sweater." But it's interesting to see how the older cats adapt. They're so grateful almost for a home.
I think that it's an interesting point that you raise, and I think that what's interesting about it is that even in a shelter like ours, where about half the cats are free roaming at any time, it reduces cage anxiety and whatnot. Right. And even though they have volunteers that are coming in and really care for them, the fact is that the cat's personalities don't really blossom until they're in that home with somebody who is really there for them.
Caring them for them.
For them specifically, right?
Stable, and I'm here, and I don't.
Exactly.
Oh,
take
he
it
really
easy,
wants
buddy.
out. Do you think we can take him out
Come
now
here,
a little
buddy.
bit, or is he?
Yeah, I'm gonna let him out. Come here. Okay.
he's letting you know his wishes.
Come here, pal. Come here.
Hey, now here's Snowball. Isn't he a beauty? Hello, big man.
You're such a good boy.
Big guy. You are so pretty with those markings.
Such a good boy.
And your clean white coat. Are you looking at the camera? Looking at the camera?
Well, let's just stay up here for a few minutes,
stay
okay?
Up here. You're a good boy.
Yes.
You're a good
boy. You have Daddy break out in a sweat here, huh?
Yes, right,
you will. Yes, you will.
So
yes, you will.
Good, so good.
All right. If I let him go, is it okay?
I don't know. Is it okay for us to let him go?
We just shut that door. We'll be okay. All right.
Okay.
Thanks,
so
guys.
he might come back for a little, what do you call it? Another cameo.
A little cameo performance, right?
Cameo performance. But he's just curiosity. I found never killed the cat, really. He's going to be around looking at everything. But every animal that goes out of your shelter, I'm sure, is spayed, neutered. Do you microchip? Do you for
we do spay, neuter, rabies shot, distemper. They are fully vetted. We haven't started doing microchipping yet, but that is in the plans. I'm hoping in the coming year, in 2015, we'll be start doing microchipping.
Yeah. I think that's something fairly.
Excuse me.
God bless. I think it's something fairly new because the cats that I know that are microchipped, I don't know how many cats come home when they're microchipped. Cats seem to run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
However, I have one that actually surfed a window screen out. She's a big girl, and she pressed up against the screen popped out, and she surfed it to the ground. Fortunately, she was sitting on the doorstep waiting for my husband to come home going, what the heck?
Right. Yeah.
She was microchipped, but if she ran, I don't think we have forests behind us. I don't think I'd ever found her again. I mean, it's a little tough.
Well, if they end up in shelters that do microchip, or even in animal control offices, typically they will at least wand them.
Okay.
So that's something that we do. We check our cats when they come in to see if they're chipped. Not that frequently do we find them that are chipped.
I think, and most cats, if you want to keep your cat living a long, healthy life, they're indoor cats anyway.
Occasionally,
absolutely. They surf a window screen,
right? Absolutely.
It's like my husband's like Johnny, and here's Johnny in The Shining. He's got his face at the empty window, like, how many of them got out?
And some cats are just motivated to get out. You open the door, you're struggling with your groceries or whatnot, and your cat's out the door. So it does happen.
Tough. It is tough, and this one is very curious, just like that one. There he goes, walking all over, checking the equipment out. But how do you generally get? How do you generally get your cats, aside from the feral colonies where you found Snowball and he was a good boy? Do you accept a lot of cats for drop-off, or do you, vet their owners as to why they're doing this because you don't want to?
We try really hard not to take personal surrenders. So most of the cats we get are coming from community folks who are calling and saying, hey, we've got this stray cat here we found, and we need something to do with it. And depending on where we're at with respect to capacity, we'll either take the cat in or we'll ask them if they're able to hold on to them. If they are, then we'll put them on a wait list. Sometimes we'll try and turn that person into a foster, right? And so now, you know, so now they're fostering the cat, and when, you know, and they can bring the cat in on weekends to be exhibited with the other cats on our open adoption hours, and it gets them up on the website with pictures and whatnot. So it's generally that. Obviously, there's the occasional drop-off, sometimes more than others. There was a day back in August, I think, when I had 7 drop-offs. Just people just drive by, drop off cats in boxes, and off they go.
Not even in a carrier, so a box of a cat.
Boxes, yeah, cardboard boxes, carriers. They come in all kinds of, you know, contraptions, and you know, and in cases like that, I mean, we have no choice but to figure out what are we going to do. And so we'll get on the phone with our fosters if we don't have any space, or we'll, you know, we have cages that have double cages, so sometimes we'll take space away from a cat, you know, so we can fit somebody else in, and. You know, it's interesting. We get all kinds. Typically, the cats are really great. Some of them come with issues. We had one. So on this day that 7 got dropped off, in the morning, a gentleman showed up, and he had 4 kittens. Actually, is what he had. He had 4 kittens, and he was actually a worker with a counselor with somebody who was mentally challenged, and the person who had taken in this cat, and the cat had kittens. And unfortunately, the gentleman was keeping the cats, and when he got out of bed one day, he stepped on one of the kittens. And so that was that. They knew that it just wasn't a tenable situation. So 4 kittens showed up at that day. We figure out what we're going to do with those cats, and it's like noon, and then I see this car pulling away, and I'm like, oh my God, this person just left cats. Go outside, 2 big boxes, 2 big adult cats, and one of them, whose name is now Zinnia. It's a black and white cat. She's about 8 years old. She had this enormous cyst over her eye. And we took her in, had the cyst removed, had her vetted, and luckily it was just a benign thing. And she looks great now, but it looked like she had a ping pong ball growing out of her head. And so, you know, and the other cat that she came with got adopted was like within a week or something. So that was a good situation there. And then just as we got that one worked out, it's about 6 o'clock at night now, and I go out, and we're actually getting ready to go home, and there was another cat in a carrier.
It's like they just like the tide.
Yeah, 2 more cats in carriers.
2 more cats in carriers. And you know, the last few years have been horrible economically for a lot of people. And I know there is a pantry that tries to keep people in cat food or dog food if they're kind of broken, can't do it. But I'm wondering, during the really bad, you know, 2009, 10, 11, 12, until the economy started coming back, did you see a lot more people just dropping off animals because they can't afford to feed them any longer? Yeah, and can't afford to get a medical or whatever.
Well, I've only been there since since spring 2013.
Well, I did not know
I would say that this year was definitely worse than last year. So I don't know
if the economy.
I'm not sure that the economy is really. It may be picking up. I mean, in terms of people may have jobs, but they're not getting the kind of jobs that pay them well. Or people have to move to improve their economic situation. And you know they can't take their pets with them. I mean, I'm going to live in a box before I give up my pets.
Exactly. I'd live in a have a trailer.
But I make no judgments about other people's
decisions. People, I mean, I'm sure they're heartbroken, but I cannot tell you how many calls I've had on my cell phone. I'm trying to figure out how they got my cell phone number, because sometimes, you know, the shelters are open on the weekends. And so I get a call on my cell phone. I'm moving in 2 weeks. Well, did you not know that you were moving in 2 weeks? Give me a little more time. I mean, you know, this one, that one. You go down a list of shelters who may take them. But, you know, I have to leave. Or else I've got this cat I'm moving, and I don't drive. I can't come over to get your cat, you know, like I'm working full time, like we all are working full time and doing other things. So I noticed that a lot. It's almost people wait till the last minute.
They do.
To give up, to tell you they're in trouble.
And that's, I think with respect to that, if I had one message for folks who knew that they were going to have situations coming up, is that they be a little more proactive, because in that case we can help. I mean, we can sort of help broker a transition, right? We can take photos, put them up on the website, put them up on Pet Finder, put them up, and then
do that a month ahead of time,
maybe. And then that cat potentially never has to, you're never left with that decision, right? Because you've brokered the transition in advance. If I could, that would be one big message. If I could get it out there, be proactive.
Well, that's an important message, because I can't tell you how many calls I get. Like, I'm
happens
leaving
all
state
the time.
tomorrow or
Yeah.
the next day or 2 weeks from now. I'm like, oh, you waited now.
Yeah.
You waited till now. At least, to me, at least they're not going, dumping the cats outside,
Yeah.
coming in a cardboard box to
Yeah.
your place,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Are there any upcoming fundraisers we should know about?
Yeah, in terms of events, we're gonna have a booth over at the Glastonbury Apple Harvest Festival this weekend. So that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we have our holiday fair, which is an annual thing. It's a big fundraiser for us. It's a big bazaar, all new items and crafted type goods, and that's on. I don't remember the exact date. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving.
That's about the 22nd. I want to say 22nd, 20th, or 22nd of November, and that's good because this will be airing in November.
Okay.
Okay. Do you? Go ahead.
Oh, and then there's the other thing that's coming up is on November 6th, we're doing a fundraiser in conjunction with Manchester Community College. We're having this psychic, this medium. His name's Matthew Frazier. Medium with a message, and we have tickets for 126 people available. It's $40 a ticket. You can find a link online at Protectors of Animals.
Okay. How many? I mean, I know what we do to try to run fundraisers for different shelters, and it's a lot of work. How many volunteers? That was going to be my next question. How many volunteers do you have?
Okay.
Because here he comes.
Come
Dad.
on, baby. Come on, buddy. Come here. We have.
Treats.
There's my buddy. There's my buddy. Who's my baby? Huh? There you go, pal. There you go.
He looks so much like a cat I had about 20 years ago. It was the best cat I ever had. And he was part Siamese.
300. We have about 300 volunteers. Oh, here, greedy boy. Here. We have about 300 volunteers, give or take. I would say plus or minus 20 at any time. So it can be as high as 320. It's, as low as 280.
That's an amazing amount. That's amazing.
It is. It is an amazing amount, and we, our volunteers are so committed and so important to our mission and how we, how we operate. We couldn't do it without them. Every day in the morning we have a crew of six people coming in and doing cleaning and feeding for the cats at the cat shelter. And of course, we have a similar situation going on at the dog kennels. We have socializers who come in and they work. I mean, they work really diligently with cats who aren't like this.
Yeah, right. Right.
Who aren't like Snowball, who need additional socialization, and they're coming in and doing that. We have folks who work with our medical team coordinator, and they come in every day for cats that need antibiotics or what have you, and they're taking care of that sort of thing. So we have an amazing crew of volunteers.
And the dog walkers, of course. I was in the shelter in Sarasota. You see everybody go down. Hi, baby. You got to be adopted because you're just too cool and too beautiful, and you're a calm guy. And you want water? Get your tongue in there. You have to be adopted. You are such a pleasant boy.
He's such a good boy.
You're such a pleasant boy. So this is Snowball from the Protectors of Animals Shelter in East Hartford, Connecticut. You're open on the weekends, right?
And we're open on Saturdays from 10:30 to 4. We're also open the first Wednesday evening of every month from 6 to 8. And of course, any cat, if you're really interested, you see one online or dog, we'll do anything by appointment.
Like
our volunteers will come in and meet you at your convenience.
Okay.
And one other thing I just want to mention, if I can, and this has to do with a lot, and you've seen this at the shelter that you volunteer at, I'm sure, is that a lot of cats come in, and because one of the things we do when they come in is we test them, right? So we test them for feline leukemia and FIV, right? Feline immunodeficiency virus. And I just, there's still some outdated notions about FIV cats. Right, that people equate FIV with HIV, which is the human immunodeficiency virus, which ultimately the end stage is AIDS, right? Well, I often hear people incorrectly call FIV feline AIDS. It's not feline AIDS, and in fact, a cat that has FIV has, as long as it's in a stress-free environment and eating properly, is going to live as long as any other cat, and by the time that disease, which is basically a door opener to other diseases,
it's through an immune suppression type thing.
Right. By the time it gets to that stage, with many of, and if not most of the FIV cats, they're exhibiting signs of geriatric illness anyway. Right. So I just wanted to throw that out there because it's really, really an important thing, and we have probably 4 FIV cats right now. and they're highly adoptable. And even in our case, we have folks who have sponsored their adoption. So if you want, you want an FIV, if you're willing to take one, we have, we have a cat that's ready to go. But I just wanted to put that out there. I think it's important.
It's important, and they do get overlooked a lot. And I think personally, because we do have some FIVs in our shelter too, they're in a separate room, but they're cage free. They're not fighting. They tend to be. Look at this guy. Yeah. He is showing off. Market yourself, baby. Market yourself.
And can I actually? So you mentioned the cat's being in another area.
Yeah.
And one of the things because I've been researching this like crazy and trying to keep up with all the latest information, and the other thing is that it's really hard to transmit FIV. It can only be transmitted either through a blood transfusion or through a deep bite
puncture wound,
a deep bite wound, intramuscular bite.
Yeah.
And so, if your cats are getting along, if they're properly introduced, in my mind, there's no reason why your cats can't cohabitate. I have an FIV cat and a non-FIV cat.
Okay, that's good to know, because I know like a lot of the cats that are office cats and cats that are roaming free, we'll go up to the screen in the FIV room and look in, and there's no like yowling and hissing. There's no yowling and hissing amongst them. I also find they tend to be extremely affectionate.
They're great cats.
Because they're a little more laid back maybe, and extremely affectionate. And we had somebody come in and adopt too, and so happy and pleased with him. And he hasn't indicated he has any medical bills. This guy is a show off.
Isn't he great?
You are a little show off. You want a belly rub? Do you want a belly rub? Do you want, oh, yes you do. Yes, you do.
You know, Connie, you're brave. I regardless of how wonderful a cat is, I do not rub bellies.
Oh, I rub bellies, and I've had them. Yeah,
you're
and I've
brave.
had them. I've had them. Well, I always say if they show you their belly, they're trusting you, because that's where But you are a good boy. I used to rub one cat at the shelter, and he would actually clasp my hands. Like, keep going, belly rub.
Yeah.
He just got adopted. You are. Could you turn and face the camera? Could you turn and face the camera, since I hear him purring up a storm too.
Yeah.
Well, see, if the chair was up there, would you have used it? I don't know.
He's a total sweetheart.
So, so you are on. Do you go to any place like Petco, PetSmart on weekends to have these cats shown?
We're at PetSmart. Basically, we have six cages at PetSmart that they provide for us by East Hartford, TJ Maxx.
And it's Windsor, and it's it's
East Hartford. It's right down the road from us, about a mile down the road. And then cats don't travel that well, as you know.
They get very stressed.
And so occasionally we'll take them out to different places, but mostly that's a dog thing. The dogs go on the road much more than the cats. We also have, so the cats are always at PetSmart. And we also have our dogs in there on the first and third Saturdays of every month.
Okay. Well, he's giving such a photo op.
Oh, right now, look at him.
Oh, boy.
I mean, this is a calendar, right?
I know, this is a calendar cat. You have to take this cat. Somebody's got to call for Snowball. He's perfect. Best cat I've seen in a long time.
Best case scenario would be he wouldn't be available by the time the show airs.
Hopefully.
But feel free to give us a buzz.
He's a doll baby. So you want to just give your phone number and your website, John, to give a little more information?
Absolutely. So we're at www.poainc.org. And our phone number is 860-569-0722. All the phone calls go into a voicemail, which are retrieved by volunteers on the phone team, and they will shuttle them off to the appropriate party. So if you're calling to look for a cat, you'll go to the placement team, and someone from the placement team will get in touch with you.
Okay. And you're open Saturdays and Sundays. What are your hours, Saturdays and Sundays?
No, we're not open on Sundays anymore. So on Saturdays, we're open from 10:30 to 4.
And on Wednesday evenings?
And on Wednesday evenings from 6 to 8.
6 to 8.
Just the first Wednesday of every month.
Okay, so it's Saturday only. And you are, what is the address in? 144 Main Street in East Hartford. You can see us right off of Route 2, coming down Route 2. If you're coming down Route 2 East, take exit 5C, take a right off the exit, take a right onto Main Street, and we're on the right-hand side. Okay. So, Snowball, you have anything to say before we wrap this up? Anything?
Oh, he's living large right now. Look at this guy.
Oh, boy. All this attention. He really needs his own mom and dad. He look how good he is in a more stressful situation.
I agree.
Those people wandering around behind cameras and et cetera, et cetera. Bright lights, big city.
He just needed to get the lay of the land.
Once
he got it, he's okay, you know?
So,
come on, Senior.
Well,
come on.
Okay. So this is another edition of Shelter Tales. And we invite you to send your stories about any shelter animals you may have adopted. We're also always looking for volunteers. You can find a nonprofit no-kill shelter in the phone book in your town probably, or very close to your town. If you want to send any information to me, it would be sheltertales, like this, ct@gmail.com. And we look forward to talking to you next month. And thank you, John.
No, thank you, Connie. It's great to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you shake hands?